Darkness bends back. He found he was casually nodding off to sleep. He sat up in his seat and ran his greasy fingers over his burning eyes. It had been a long day of work. His clothes and hair stank with the fumes of embalming fluid. No matter how much he reassured himself he was used to the smell, he could never get past that sting in his nostrils, as if his short hairs were smoldering. At the same time, he loved the smell. It brought him back to another place, forgotten in his own personal timeline. He rubbed his meaty hands together, watching the veins stand out in perfect road maps. He reminisced on the many times those hands had gone to work. All the countless projects represented a different vein beneath his flesh. He counted all the ones marking his right hand and nodded. 4 discernible projects, but there were so many more. But the world only knew of 4. Beneath the surface was a graveyard. He heard a footfall behind him and turned around in his bench. The train station was completely empty, save for him and one other. A dirty man with a mop of gray hair and a beard to match approached Tom, clutching a duffel bag to his chest like a life vest. The train station was open to the night, so the man's breath clouded his features in a mask of fog. He wore no coat, so he shook violently. He looked out beyond his mane to mark Tom hungrily with sad eyes. Tom followed him with his own gaze, waiting impatiently for the man's intentions. He had an idea. He knew the man wasn't going to ask for directions. He had nowhere to go. Tom, on the other hand, did have somewhere to go. It was 11 o'clock at night, and he just wanted to go home. "Pardon me, pal, but do you have 85 cents you can spare?" the dirty man asked. He stopped inches from the back of Tom's bench. Thin, gnarled fingers crept over the cooled steel, barely grasping Tom's jacket sleeve. "First of all, take a step back," Tom snorted, recoiling from the man's fingers as though they were a team of serpents. The man processed this and nodded his shaggy head. He retreated a few steps. "Now," Tom began from his seat, "you need 85 cents. For what?" "The next train," the man responded. "I don't think that's true," Tom said. "You've decided to settle here for the night." The man took a look around him. "I can't stay here," he almost seemed to snap. "There's no bed. It's all concrete, and I don't even have a coat." "Then where are you staying? In the park up the hill, or in the parking garage?" "I'm going home. I need to catch the next train, just like you." "No, you're not like me," Tom said, gaining his feet. "Are you going to give me change or not?" "Negative." "I am not giving you a thing," Tom countered, shoving his hands into his pockets. In the breeze, Tom's shoulder-length hair veiled his face, accentuating the curve of his nose and lips in a ghostly death mask, hollow eye sockets filled with shadow. Tom refused to say another word. He only stared out at the man in a quiet contempt. The light in the nearby archway flickered, died, and sparked again. "I'll gladly accept anything you have to spare," the man said, this time with a noticeable waver. Tom hadn't moved an inch. He remained rooted into the platform, blinking in and out of the night with each flicker from the light bulb. But like a restless creature, his hair curled to the side. "I don't have anything to spare." "Well, thanks anyway." The man turned and proceeded towards the exit of the platform, rather hurriedly. He stole a glance back at Tom, but he was exactly how he was, hands in his pockets, hair whipping. When he was at the verge of crossing under the archway, Tom called after him. "I thought you were trying to catch this train," the voice cried from the other end of the station. The man turned, but refused to stop altogether. He continued to back up blindly. "Well, I don't have enough money, do I?" "Just dodge on without the ticket. They never check this time of night." "I'll feel better if I had the man's heel caught against a raise in the sidewalk," and he went pinwheeling back onto his back, duffel bag disappearing into the mouth of a bush. He scrambled into a crawling position and glanced back across the platform. Tom was standing in the same spot. He couldn't make out the face beyond that tangle of hair, but he was sure it wasn't one of concern. "You okay?" Tom asked. Fine, just knocked the wind out of me," the man murmured. "What?" "Just stay where you are." Tom didn't say a thing. He continued to watch the dirty man with a quiet fascination. The man kept Tom in his peripherals as he went rooting through the shrubs. He came out with his duffel bag and beat the dust from its stitching. "Listen, I lied. I have some spare change," Tom yelled. One hand pulled out of his pocket, cupped to reveal a collection of coins. It was too far away to make out the amount from across the way, but the man could see that the light reflected off of something. "How much you got?" the man pressed. "Come see for yourself." "Tell me how much it is first." "What, are you afraid to come closer? You did it before. Come on," Tom insisted. The man edged closer before pausing. He still wasn't close enough to make out what was in Tom's hand. He edged closer still, trembling, but not just from the chill. A few steps more, he was sure that Tom was offering what looked like quarters. "Here," Tom said. The man snatched them hastily and retreated a respectable distance to study his gift. "You said you had 98 cents. That plus 43 gives you more than enough for a ticket. Go ahead." "The ticket machine is right there," Tom explained, pointing off to his left. "I need 85. There's a round-trip ticket I have to buy for tomorrow morning." "Not at this hour. There are no round-trip tickets for the morning." Then I need to get a student ticket for my grandson. I left him over in the park. We're going together. You're alone, and you'd have to be a pretty poor grandfather to leave your grandson alone in a park at midnight. Try another. Listen, I don't have to explain myself to you. Do you have the rest or don't you? The man barked. There goes that temper again. You should really watch it. If I'm going to give you money, I have the right to know what it's for. You lost the right to reserve your business when you approached me, begging for spare change. Now, if you don't want to accept what little I gave you, I'll need a better explanation. So far, you haven't told me the truth. I have the rest of the 85 cents and another dollar to follow that. If you can tell me the truth, I'll give it all to you. It's for the train. I know that if I give you the rest, you'll run off, so don't stick with that. I'm presenting you with an opportunity to make up for all your misguided answers. Tell me the truth, and I'll give this to you. Tom revealed his other hand and unclenched the fist. There was a crumpled dollar and a variety of pennies, nickels, and dimes. The truth now. The dirty old man hesitated, glaring at the change as if to make sure it wouldn't crawl away if he happened to blink or look away. The truth. Tom nodded. For once, the hair covering his face parted. Tom was grinning. The man sprang at Tom, the duffel bag swinging. It caught Tom in the chest as the man grabbed at the cash. Tom managed to drop the change and cling to the man's wrist. The change went spinning and bouncing over the edge of the platform, clinking against the railroad tracks. The man screamed just before the knife blade sliced through the center of his Adam's apple. The duffel bag hit the ground first, then the dirty man joined it, choking on his own blood. Tom wiped the knife blade clean with the man's pant leg before returning it to its holster. Tom stood over the man and watched him die. The dollar bill skated across the concrete before clutching in the homeless man's bushy hair. Tom bent down to retrieve it and tucked it inside the man's pocket. He took a seat on the bench and continued to study the lines on his hands. You're getting a little sloppy, aren't you? Tom whirled around, the knife upraised and ready. When he realized who had spoken, he started to laugh. He put away the knife and relaxed back into his seat. Paul Baker, Rise View High, class of 2008. How the hell are you? Tom said. Paul rounded the bench to face Tom. He was pointing a gun at Tom's heart. You shouldn't be laughing, Tom. I just saw everything. If I can't pin you for the first 4 deaths in Arlen, then I can pin you for this one. No, Paul, if you couldn't pin me for those deaths in Arlen, you absolutely can't pin me for this. What are you talking about? Of course I can. How's that? Where are your cop friends? You didn't think you'd have to trail me tonight, did you? You knew police were following you. Of course, Paul. I knew you were following me as well. I just thought you'd go home for the night, which is all I'm trying to do. You're wrong, Tom. There are squad cars just over the hill. They're waiting for my signal. All I have to do is call out the right word, and they'll come running down. Give me a little more credit than that, Paul. If there were truly cops up over the hill, they'd be here by now, and they would never allow you to come waltzing down here with a loaded gun, alone. No matter how much you want to be, it doesn't make it so. It's just me and you. They're waiting for my signal. Here, I have these. Paul tossed a pair of handcuffs at Tom. He turned them over in his hand. Come off it, Paul. It's just you and me. You don't want to take me into the police station with blood on my hands. You want to escort me into your car and drop me off somewhere secluded. Then you'll kill me. Not here in the open. We need to go into the woods. Isn't that right, Paul? That's where you do your dirty work. Shut up. Put the cuffs on and let's go. Tom laughed, folding his arms. If you're going to kill me, Paul, do it here and now. Look, I did it. It's easy. Just pull the trigger and you're free to run. Nothing ties you here to this crime scene. It's so easy. You're wrong. It's not that easy. You may think it is, but you're too blind for your own good. Life has a lot more value than you let on. No, it doesn't. That's why I'm not defending myself right now. I'm not trying to stop you, but on the other hand, I don't think you can kill me. You can't find the strength. Even if we were in your secluded refuge in the woods, I don't think you could do it. We're like brothers, Paul, you and me. This time Paul laughed. I hate you. Then pull the trigger. I'm not playing. Put the cuffs on, now! Tom stuffed the handcuffs into his pocket. Well, I love you, Paul. You and I are one and the same. I am nothing like you. Of course not, Paul. I am. Paul's booming voice was drowned out by the oncoming roar of the train. The platform shook and the bench rattled. The night silence was overwhelmed by the juggernaut's shattering boom. Loose change scattered this way and that as the light went out. Tom and Paul were left in the succumbing darkness. Tom sitting casually on the uncomfortable bench, Paul forever pointing the nose of his pistol at Tom's heart. The horizon was blotted out as the train rolled past, segments of the moon flashing through the gaps in the cars, appearing as a silver streak coming and going. It only took a second for the screaming steel snake to pass beyond the reach of the boarding platform, and it never stopped. On its departure, only one man remained on the platform. He waited a minute, listening to the train's whistle fade off into the distance, and then stood up from the bench, brushing off his coat. He paid his respects at the platform for a moment, glancing down at the body on the tracks. He tossed the pistol in after the body, and strode away from the platform whistling. He would have to catch the train at another time. and in another place.